Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. This is a test of my audio. Hey everybody, it's Santina. Welcome back to my channel. I have some exciting news. You guys know that for a while I have been saying that I'm going to retire soon. Well, I have picked the date. I can't recall if I mentioned the date of May 1st in my last video, but that is the date I hope to be retired on May 1st, not work my last day on May 1st, and we'll see what happens. I have given notice at my work. They have identified someone to transition my role to. I have not begun the transition, so I've got literally 103 days until I retire, and I'm very excited about it. So excited that it's really challenging for me to want to edit the video from my Pittsburgh trip. That was a family trip. It was not really meant to be one of my van life adventure trips. And it's not something I'm really interested in editing. So maybe I'll get to it someday. What I would like to do is take you along on a journey of how I prepare for van life. So I'm starting fresh. As you all know, I've camped in my Honda CR-V for years, and that's what my videos are about, car camping, and I'll be using a lot of the same equipment that I have from car camping in my van, which I have not selected yet. I think I know that I do want a Ram ProMaster 2500 high top. I have seen a couple of them. I'm not going to purchase a van until after March 15th. On March 15th, I am receiving my annual bonus, which should be a pretty substantial bonus. And I'm going to use that money to purchase my van with cash so I don't have a car payment. So I'm going to take you along on the journey of what I'm doing to prepare my van life, and hopefully if you are in your journey to prepare for van life, it will help you with some maybe ideas of things that you didn't think about to prepare. So one of the first things that I did was I called my car insurance company. Now, I'm not a homeowner currently. I have been in the past, but my auto insurance is not bundled with my homeowner's policy. It is bundled with my renter's insurance policy, and you can see it's my junky apartment behind me. And so it's not very much of a discount. So I did give them a guesstimate of what van I was going to be purchasing, because I don't have the VIN number currently. I haven't bought it. And based on just Ram ProMaster 2500, they were able to quote me a car insurance rate, which was only $150 more a month than what I'm paying now. So that's very reasonable and affordable for me. In addition, I've made a couple of purchases that I want for my van life travels. My plan is to travel entirely around the United States of America. I do plan to go around the perimeter. I really like being on the water. So I figure for my first trip all the way around the country, I am going to hug the coastline so I can be along water for most of the circle around the United States. Obviously not all of the northern states border water, but then of course I can go slightly into the interior of those states and find lakes, etc. So I have a couple of purchases I want to show you just in case you're interested for yourself. So one of the first things I was super excited to purchase was my National Geographic Road Atlas, the Adventure Edition. You have probably seen this on other van life channels, but when I saw it, I just knew I was going to purchase one for when I got on the road. It's a lot bigger than I thought. So it's a full length of my forearm from tips of my fingers to my elbow. So it's larger than I think normal road atlases. I could be wrong about that. But inside it's got all of the national parks, and it breaks down each state in one map with the main roadways. Also has a map of the United States, obviously. Oh, I just bumped the camera. But each state has, let's see, I'll do, New York's a good example. Well, maybe New York's not a good example. Well, North Carolina here, they show the entire state of North Carolina in the white, and then they break out certain more metropolitan sections in these call outs. And then over here in very specific cities, I think, in these call outs as well. So this is pretty typical. New York, it looks like they don't have an overall map of the state, which I'm surprised. And they just have the sections of it, north, south, etc. This is New York North. Okay, it's just missing like Manhattan area, I guess, down here. So this is like upstate New York. And then the south, this is the Manhattan and all of the things that we think of as New York City. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. I'll show you my state. Let's see, Pennsylvania. So it's sideways, and this is half of Pennsylvania. So the western part is this whole big area. So western half of the state. Pennsylvania, it takes about 7 years, oh my gosh, 7 hours to drive from the east to the west if you drive straight through on highways, which would be the turnpike primarily. So it's a very large state. So they broke it out into the western section. And then the eastern section where I live, I'm right down here. And so each state has its own full state map, so you can kind of navigate and say, okay, I want to go to a national park. Where's the national park in Pennsylvania? Well, here it is. Allegheny State Forest. Actually, it's not a national park, but a state forest. It's the only national forest in Pennsylvania. And there are plenty of state parks along the way. Now, what was kind of disappointing to me is I can't even see some of the state parks on this map that I've camped at many times because it's just so dense. So you can't rely on this entirely for planning where you want to go, but it gives you an overall view of the state, which you could get on Google Maps, but you have to scroll and squeeze and, you know, zoom in and zoom out so much. It's just annoying to me. And that's it for Pennsylvania, except for the two cities that they give you, the two main cities, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. The road atlas was one thing I knew I was going to get for my van life and was excited to get now that I'm closer to it and for full-time van life. And the next thing was a power station. So I went with the Blue Eddy because they have a good reputation and I've heard a lot of good things about them, and I've heard that they're better than some of the other brands like Jackery. They last longer. Jackery's fine, but I think they're for the amount of charging times you get, it's a little more expensive. I think they're all pretty good. I don't think you can go wrong with a power station, to tell you the truth. But I decided to get the Blue Eddy, and it's a really tiny one, so I can carry it to charge it. You can see I haven't opened it yet. Let's open this bad boy up and see how small it is. I think it's about 10 pounds. Ooh. I guess these are the cords and cables. Yep. Styrofoam to keep it safe. The booklet on how to use it. And then this is it. I'm moving the tripod by mistake. There it is. Ta-da! So I don't have very much to charge, and I'm going to try to see if I can go along my travels with just this size. It's got two DC, these are AC, alternating current, 120 volt regular plugs. It's got the 12 volt plug. It's got a light, which I don't really care about. And then it's got a, I don't know what this, it's 120 volt alternating current for, you know, computer power supply kind of thing. It's got the USB-A's and the USB-C. So everything that I would need to charge my phone. Can't think of anything else that I will need to charge. If I decide to take my toothbrush, I guess I could charge my toothbrush. I really don't use a lot of electronics, guys. I'm in technology, so the last thing I want to do is get on a computer after I'm done work. So I'm going to charge this up, and then I'm going to run my blender on it. So I just have a NutriBullet that I make my smoothies with, and I just had one, so I dirty sink. And the NutriBullet pulls normally 600 watts, which means when you first start it up, it actually draws 1200 watts, which is what that Blue Eddy is. So you always want to get a power station. If you want to use an electric appliance like this, you always want to double the wattage because the startup is what takes most of the power. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge up my Blue Eddy to 100%, and then I'm going to make my smoothies on that and see how long it lasts, how many smoothies I can make on one fully charged Blue Eddy battery. Understanding is that this bad boy takes about 2 hours to charge if I'm driving. I could be wrong about that. It could be more like 4 or 5. I'm not really interested in doing too much research because if I decide that that's not big enough for what I do want to power, I'm just going to buy a larger Blue Eddy battery or maybe some other brand. But what I did decide to do is to increase my charging time by buying their DC to DC charger called Charger 1. And this will be installed in my van. If I can open it up. My goodness, I can't get a grasp on this. Ugh. Gotta cut the tape. All right. This isn't going to look like much to any of us because it's a technical piece of equipment. It's not going to have buttons or any display or anything, but it just is. It stinks. It will be installed, and then it will allow me to charge my portable power station twice as fast. About, I think, I did know this a minute ago. Either it will allow me to charge it fully in an hour or 2 hours. I can't remember, but to me, it doesn't make much of a difference. I'm going to be driving the distance that I'm going to be driving. If that's 1, 2, or 5 hours, I'll charge my Blue Eddy on the 12 volt, or depending upon if I want to charge it faster or if it's low, I'll charge it on this. And then these are the cables that come with it. Pretty hefty cables. So I'll have my mechanic install this in my van. And it does, I believe this is, you're charging off of your car battery, or I'm sorry, your alternator, not your car battery. So what it does when you're driving, the alternator will be charging your power station, not your 12 volt cigarette lighter. Could be wrong, but that's my understanding. Well, that's it for the purchases that I've made so far, but I've just begun. I am going to do a no-build, so very little, no building in my van, just throwing in the camping equipment that I've been using in my car, and then throwing in the few purchases that I'm making that I didn't see as necessary in my car. When I was car camping, I couldn't go for very long because I was working, and so I didn't really need some of the purchases I'm making now. So what I do plan to do, I have a list, of course, and so I do plan to purchase a couple more things once I know what my van is. I'm assuming it's going to be a gasoline fueled van, but I'm not sure. So I'm holding off on buying the heater. I am going to buy one of the Chinese heaters, the knockoffs of the heaters that have the combustion chamber outside of the vehicle. And that's really just going to be a backup for me for when it is really chilly, because I don't plan to be in cold climates when I'm going around the country. I'm going to try to chase 70. Yeah, wish me luck. That's not going to happen, right? But so I do plan to buy one of those heaters, and then I'll have the heater and the DC to DC charger installed. And then one other thing that I just wanted to make you aware of, if you're looking to getting into van life after retiring, if you're currently still working and you have health insurance, one of the things that I do plan to do before I leave is have a physical with my family doctor, go to the dentist if I'm due for anything, go get my eyes checked, do all of those things while I have the health insurance. Don't think that they'll find anything that is going to require the health insurance coverage that I have now. And I do plan to get, as gap insurance before Medicare, I do plan to get the Marketplace or Obamacare, if you want to call it that, insurance. It's going to be, I'll let you know how expensive it is. I'm going to get just a plan for catastrophic illness and injury, that kind of thing, because I can self-insure anything else. So with my retirement funds, if I need to go to the doctor for any reason, I can pay for it. It's just that if that surgery or hospital stay is in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, why wouldn't I get insurance for that? So that's what I plan to do, get the marketplace insurance. And then I need one more thing, which I don't have yet, which is also dependent upon what size the van is I want to get a battery that is a jump starter for the van. Now this has to be a very specific size. I have one for my car, but you can't use it on a van. Van batteries are bigger, I guess, and have more power. So you need to get one that fits your battery size. And so I do plan to get that. I don't know if they have a specific name. It's just instead of jumper cables, you have a battery that has jumper cables on it, and that's how you jump start your van. And that's it. Oh, one other thing. So depending upon what the van looks like when I buy it, I've seen vans that have floors in them. I've seen vans that don't. They just have the ridges of the metal floor that comes with the van. And so depending upon what my van floor looks like, I will be putting in some kind of flooring, either a laminate, or I'll be at least filling in the gaps between the metal, you know how it's bumpy on the van floor. And I'll fill that in with strips of wood and some adhesive, at least at the bare minimum, and then put laminate on it, or I will put a foam floor down if it already has a solid floor, or maybe I'll do both if it doesn't have any floor at all. I like the idea of having a foam floor. I don't plan to wear shoes in the van, and I think the foam floor would be more comfortable on my feet, and I also wouldn't slip if I'm wearing slippers. So, or slipper socks, I guess I should say. And that's about all that I've done for preparing for full-time van life so far. I am leaving in May. Don't know if it'll be May 1st. Don't know if I'll find my van the couple of weeks in March after I get my bonus, or if it's going to take me longer to find my van. So I'm being very flexible about when I leave, but I do have some plans to go camping down in North Carolina in May, and I have some plans to be in Pennsylvania in May, and I think we have plans to meet up, some friends of mine to meet up in Maryland in April. So that could be in my car, it could be in my van, I have no idea. It just depends. If I have my van and I haven't done anything like build my floor or put in my heater or my chargers or anything like that, I'm just gonna throw my camping stuff in the van and do a shakedown camping experience with my van and just my camping equipment. Pretty much like how I'm going to have my no-build van anyway. I just might have a few more luxuries like some flooring when I actually head out for my hopefully year-long, hopefully all the way around the United States travel. And I want to take you with me on that. And that's what's exciting to me, is that I can take you along and videotape those adventures as I'm traveling around the country and my thoughts about different places and share that with you. And I also want to do meetups. If you guys are in the United States and you want to meet up, I do want to establish some meetups across the country. So this is really important. So if you've made it this far in the video, and I know this is a long one, if you're interested in meeting up as I'm traveling around the country, please leave a comment and let me know what state you're in so that I can plan meetups in those states as we go. And I'll let this channel know where that meetup is going to be. But if you don't put your country, oh my gosh, my brain. I was just playing strategy games with my two sons and my brain is fried. So if you don't put your state, please put your state in the comments. And if you don't put your state in the comments, then I won't know to plan a meetup in that state. Now, if you're in another country, apologies, but right now my only plans are to travel in the US this coming year, so 2025 into 2026. In the future, depending upon how the stock market does, I do plan to do some international travel, not necessarily in a van, So in certain cases, I will be traveling in Australia. I want to travel to Italy. However, I will probably purchase a home in Italy in order to stay there for a year. That is the country of origin. Wales is another country of origin, but from my family. But I will be going, hopefully, God willing, internationally in the future. So if you are in another country, please feel free to put your country in the comments, and we'll see if it actually happens. I have had meetups since COVID. I have been having meetups with small groups here on the East Coast that are part-time van lifers, and we've had a blast, and it's very relaxing. We usually do events hiking or seeing certain sites, going to certain museums, whatever people want to do. It's very casual. You know, you can do certain activities and not do others. But every time it's been a new group of people, completely different people, strangers that I've never met before, and it's wound up to that I have some friends from those groups that will be lifelong friends, I'm sure. So it is a fantastic time. So please feel free to leave your state and or your country in the comments below to let me know where to plan meetups. Okay, long-winded enough. That's it for today. 103 days until I van life. Thanks for joining. Take care and enjoy your travels, guys. Bye.